I kick off Chapter 12 of our low tiers run by distributing some stat boosters to the units in my army. I give Dozla a secret book to improve his terrible hit rate, Ross a speed wing to turn him into a well-balanced offensive warrior, and a goddess icon for Gilliam to help him with his low luck. You may have noticed that Dozla has an even lower luck stat than Gilliam and could use it more, but to be honest, I wouldn't shed a tear if Dozla ate a random crit and died. I'm going to promote Natasha into a bishop to give her effective damage with light magic against monsters. This is immediately useful in this chapter, but I'm mostly doing it to help prepare my light magic rank in time for chapters 18, 20, and final. Also, Natasha's been around for a while, so it's nice that she can finally defend herself. With La Rochelle around to help heal, Natasha might finally have time to help in combat. Sala joins us automatically at the start of the chapter, and we're forced to bring him along. Sala's a respectable pre-promoted sage with decent combat stats and staff utility, and there's easily enough time to raise his staff rank to A on Eirika's route. While not always the star of the show, he's a solid filler for any team and much too good to add to ours. Ewan is the last trainee unit in the game, and we can recruit him by visiting a house during this chapter. His base stats are so low he's an actual 0. Using Ewan without access to level grinding poses a serious challenge, so he's generally considered to be a terrible unit under these conditions. If you manage to use him regardless, it does give you the option to go for the rather unique Summoner class, giving him strong utility on top of decent combat potential, if you manage to get him enough experience to do so. We'll be using Ewan for our playthrough. Don't say I'm not fully committed to the bit. Chapter 12 is difficult to navigate if you don't have any flyers. I am forced to navigate all of my units down a narrow, linear, winding path. Not only are there no time side objectives, but a majority of the enemies that spawn on the map initially don't move until you enter their range. This turns the map into a tedious march down the only available path without really using any meaningful strategy. Outside of the gargoyle reinforcements, the rest of this map is so tame that some of the enemies don't even attack you unless you purposefully enter their range. And by their range, I mean holding hands. 2 skeletons and a zombie at the top of the map will not budge even if you're within 2 tiles. I use this filler chapter as an opportunity to keep training Amelia and to try to get Marisa some kills here and there. Once I reach the top of the map, I can recruit Ewan, the last trainee unit of the game, and like the rest of the trainees, I'd really like to get him to level 10 on his join chapter to make him more usable. Chapter 13 is going to be a timed chapter with a lot of enemies, and it's going to be difficult to feed a trainee unit and keep them safe, so I'd like to have Ewan be a shaman by the time I enter the chapter. However, the aforementioned docile skeletons and zombie at the top of the map make training Ewan to level 10 a trivial task given his ability to attack them unharmed from range. I've made a point of also trying to get Natasha some combat in this chapter because I want to train her rank in light magic. She starts with D rank as a bishop, and I want to get at least a C to use a divine tome for later chapters with monsters. Since a divine tome is 8 points of might, in the hands of a bishop against a monster it goes up to an effective 24, however it's going to weigh down Natasha by 7 points, so I'm not sure if this is even a good idea. I finally recruit Ewan by sending Gilliam to the house, and I begin the slow process of training him up. You can get a lot of experience for Ewan by having him attack the stationary enemies until they die, however that might not be enough to get him to level 10. To finish the job, you can have Ewan duel the Moguls or set him up kills by weakening enemies for him. While the Moguls have weapon triangle advantage against him, they don't have enough power to kill him in one hit, nor enough speed to double him, so even if you can deal 1 point of damage you can gain a high amount of experience just by fighting. Ewan holds an energy ring in his inventory when you recruit him, which gives you either 2 points of strength or 2 points of magic on the unit of your choice. Considering the units in my army, this would probably be best used on my Neimi. She's above average and doing fairly well for herself, and those 2 extra points of strength would make her more consistently kill the enemy in one round. However, what I'm actually going to do is embrace equity and instead give it to Marisa. I think it's more interesting in this kind of playthrough if I legitimately try to make every single unpromoted low tier unit into a strong promoted unit by the end. And unlike Colm and Neimi, Marisa doesn't have a good support partner with which to patch up her low strength stat, and her support affinity isn't good for it either. I need to somehow make her powerful enough to take on enemies alone without any help. A process which might involve fishing for crits as a swordsmaster. It won't be completely consistent, but I should be able to get around a 50% critical rate, so it should be good enough to work on occasion. My goal is to get Marisa enough experience that I feel comfortable promoting her when I get another Hero's Crest in Chapter 14. I have her slowly work on building up a support rank with Colm, but the process is very slow, and Colm already has an A rank of Neimi, so I can't go very far either. The other big challenge of using Marisa has been her sword rank. She joined with D swords and has only gotten up to C rank. I would like to be able to use silver swords and potentially even the S rank sword later in the game, but it's a long road. I had planned on training Marisa using an Iron Blade for the doubled weapon experience gain, but I held off on it as the Iron Blade weighs her down by a staggering 7 points of speed. In other news, I managed to get a lot of experience for Amelia this chapter, eventually culminating in level 15. As a reminder, I get a Knight's Crest at the end of chapter 13 if I'm able to kill the boss before the chapter ends. While I firmly believe that the Great Knight is a better promotion option than the General for the extra point of movement as opposed to the slightly higher promotional gains, I'm planning on promoting Amelia into a General. I'm not doing this because I think it's a better idea, I'm doing this because I think it's funny. Also, my defense-blessed Amelia makes for a good mascot for a low-tier run. Having taken out most of the moving pieces on the chapter, I can finally grind up Ewan's level in peace. Shooting fireballs for target practice against a stationary zombie gets Ewan most of the way there. I'll have to finish the job by visiting the skeletons near the boss and having Ewan brawl with the Mogul. As I've stated before when training units such as Amelia, this slow, inefficient style of play does not break my no grinding restriction. While a bit uninteresting to watch, and even less interesting to be the one playing it, nothing we've done here is making use of any repeatable source of experience. All of these enemies are simply the enemies you would normally kill on the map, I'm just choosing to kill them with Ewan. I have Ewan duel the Mogul while chugging vulneraries, and he gets the kill and gains his final level. His offensive stats are fairly above average, so I'm excited to use him further. We have Amelia gain one last level by dueling the boss of the Axe Reaver, ending the chapter. Thank you for watching.